Okay, the writing section of the SAT is 35 minutes long. It has 4 questions, which gives you about 48 seconds per question, including all the reading. After today, everyone who sees this should be able to do the writing section of the SAT. We're going to start with grammar tips. First step is subject-verb agreement. The verb must agree with the subject. If the subject is singular, the verb must be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb must be plural. Also, pronoun agreement. The pronoun on the SAT, there cannot be any ambiguity regarding what a pronoun regards to. The antecedent must be very clear or it won't be used. The tense of every verb has to be consistent with all other verbs because they're all happening at the same time. If you want to modify any word or phrase, the modifier must be placed right next to it. The SAT is standardized, which means no ambiguity is allowed. And then here's a list of just simple homophones. These often come up on meaning questions, and then you have to choose which one actually means stuff, so those are good to know. Positives are parts of sentences which do not have to be in the sentence. They can be removed and not change the meaning of the sentence at all. Punctuation rules. Colons separate independent clauses from more information. More information is going to be about the previous clause. So either it can be like to be or not. He said something familiar, to be or not to be. That is the question. In that case, he's elaborating on what's familiar. Or it can be a list, as in the second example, where it lists out the few ingredients required to make a cake. Commas are used for non-restrictive / positive clauses, lists, and to combine an independent to dependent clause, never independent and independent. So, yeah. First example is in a positive. Second example is a list. Third example is separating independent and dependent clauses. Semicolons can either be used as a period or a comma. Period in that they separate two independent clauses, or a comma in lists within lists. Apostrophes are used to indicate ownership, only ownership. This will come up a lot. It's just, if it's apostrophe S, it's ownership. Dashes can only be used to surround a non-restrictive phrase or add a list or explanation to a sentence, like similar to a colon. Parentheses, that just contains a positive, which means the sentence, that part of the sentence is not needed. Simple tips for command of evidence. You really just use process of elimination to prove the question. Words in context, you just read the sentences a couple times, try them all till they fit. Expression of ideas, it's going to be rearranging to express an idea better. You want to, for this one, you do need to read the preceding sentences to answer. English conventions, that's just grammar. We just went over that. Data interpretation, make sure to check the title, the axis, and the scale. If you're not sure, reread the accompanying text and base off the main idea of that. Cool. Now we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the October 2022 SAT. No, May 22, 2022. One second. We're doing the writing section, so that's going to be the second section. Okay. Indigenous peoples living in what was then the United U.S. territory of Alaska was subject to pervasive discrimination. Number one is going to be D. Was mean. Was doesn't apply because it's peoples, which is plural. Has been doesn't apply because, again, plural. Is doesn't work because, again, plural. Peoples is a plural, so you gotta go with D for one. For two, Schneck, whose mother was in a pick, worked at one of them. Of these, such leader, type of those. This one's easy. You gotta go with such leader because it's not super clear what those are referring to. So two is gonna be C. Three, in her job as an usher, she not only witnessed the segregation of other Alaska Natives, but also was obliged to uphold the theater segregationist seating policies. Three, it's gonna be A. All the other ones include obliging Capote to uphold, but they're just longer, so you don't choose those. Which choice most effectively establishes the significance of a series of events discussed in the paragraph that follows? Helped encourage dozens of Native Americans to get to theater and so wherever they wanted. It is going to be D, because all the others aren't very significant. They're just minor protests. An actual law has very high significance. In her letter, Schneck spoke out against the slating of Alaska Natives and white patrons in unrelated sections of Nome Stream Theater. The answer is going to be C, separate, because that's the issue, that they were segregating them. Unrelated wouldn't be an issue. Withdrawn wouldn't be an issue. Disjointed would just mean it's badly organized. So it's got to go separate. 6. Moved by her story, Gruning supported Schneck, securing an apology from the mayor of Nome from her treatment. 6 is going to be A, once again, because she did support her. She will support means future, is supporting is present, supports is present. 7. Schneck's influence did not end there. In other words, in 1945, when the Alaska territorial legislature was debating an equal rights bill, the answer is going to be however, because you can rearrange the sentence to be however Schneck's influence did not end there, which elaborates on the last sentence, which is saying that she got an apology, and then most people would assume that it would end there. Number 8, in 1945, when the Alaska Territorial Legislature was debating an equal rights bill, her experience was cited as a prime example of the unfair test treatment of minority groups. It is going to be B, because it's in a positive right there. None of that is needed because it just elaborates on what happened in 1945. Her story affected lawmakers just added Gruning and helped assure the passage of the Alaska Anti-Discrimination Act of 1945. 9 is going to be A. The others are just needless punctuation. 10. The writer is considering revising the underlined portion to the following: 1945, the first piece of U.S. legislation to outlaw discrimination. So the writer should make this change because it elaborates on the significance of it. So it gets rid of C and D, and it doesn't actually show the importance of it. So it's A, most significant. Cool. What choice most logically builds on the information provided earlier in the paragraph? One sec, I just clicked the wrong button. Okay. The answer is going to be C, because it just describes her as the Rose. C, because it describes her as the Rosa Parks. It tells you why, like, that's significant, in case you didn't know Rosa Parks, which everyone does though. So on to 12. EE programs have grown to over 3,000. Research shows that many of these programs use and employ the same format of standard lectures to teach students how to successfully develop and manage new business ventures. But modern scholars studying EE note that entrepreneurs learn best through hands-on experience. 12 is going to be D. The others are needlessly wordy, and this is a standardized test, so you choose the shortest one. 13. 13 is going to be A, speculations isn't, you don't have business. Well, you do speculate in business, but not business speculations or missions or exertions. A venture is something that you're going into for business. 14, IADT in Ireland, founded in 1997. The institute enrolls over 2,000 students. The entrepreneurship classes are one class. They should not keep this. It's irrelevant. So for 14, the answer is C. Students research the market and its potential customers and to devise plans. That's not going to be right because to devise is not the right tense. So the answer is going to be B for 15 because they they make plans. It's not saying that they will make plans because they've been making plans for a while. So devising isn't the right tense, including financing, marketing, and merchandising. That is going to be A because all the other ones just say this normal stuff to do with school. 17, Rachel Parker, student in the program that comments has given me tools and skills that I need. So you see that there's a comma right there. That means this isn't positive. So you need an appositive. So the answer for 17 is going to be D. 18. In addition to receiving student endorsement, the usefulness of practical approaches like the one adopted by IADT is supported by empirical evidence. 18, it's just going to be A. The others are, once again, useless. Punctuation, they do that a lot. A Utah State University study showed that the practical assignments help budding entrepreneurs develop a key skill opportunity identification that helps. Yeah, that's all you really need to write. 19 is going to be B because the skill is opportunity identification. That's going to be in a positive right there, or non-restrictive clause. At the end of the course, the experimental group students generated more ideas for business opportunities than they did. This one's super easy. There can't be any ambiguity with this. So that gets rid of A, gets rid of B, gets rid of C. You got to go with D. Admittedly, while content knowledge like writing business plans and understanding legal requirements can be most effectively covered through textbooks and lectures, thus EE programs should continue to feature traditional education methods as key components of the curriculum. 21, for 21, the answer is gonna be B, right after 3. Because sentence 2 describes the study and sentence 3 introduces the study. So it's in the wrong order. The writer wants an effective concluding sentence that restates the main argument of the passage. The answer for that one is going to be C, because it talks about how the school's teaching is useful, hands-on experience is useful. That is the practicing what they learn. 23 is going to be B, because along North America dwells the purple sea urchins. Yeah. Yep. Okay, 24. The small spiny animal can live for up to 70 years inside of rock cavities or pits that grant protection from predators and small waves. 24 is going to be D, because rock cavities or pits is not required in there. Rock cavities are pits. 25 has recently provided the first evidence that urchin itself breaks down these hard rock surfaces. 25 is going to be A, once again, shortest one, makes no sense. Though many animals regularly contribute to bioerosion, which choice provides the most effective introduction to the paragraph? It's going to be B, because right after that it describes what they did with urchins, so they're obviously researching the urchins. One of 3 rock types: granite, mudstone, or sandstone. 27 is going to be D, because it begins a list. 28 was notably larger than each of its control group. Then each rock type showed an average that was notably larger than each of its control group. That doesn't make sense, so it can't be A, those of, that or that of, or delete. 28 is going to be C, that of, because it's bigger than the average of the group, which is singular. These data, when compared with size measurements of urchins in nature, allow Russell to make estimates about urchins. He could estimate 29, just going to be D. Everything else has extra words. 30 is going to be A, no change, because that is true. Right here, it says 32.4. You just gotta mash them up. In just 4.5 years, although higher density of sea urchin live on sandstone-rich rocky shores than live in granite, these urchins' combined excavations could quickly erode large volumes of sandstone into sediment, producing by Russell's estimate 2.9 tons of granite sediment per hectare per year. 31 is going to be because it's cause and effect. They live there, means they could erode a lot. And then 32 is going to be D, because 199.1 tons medium grain sandstone. That's a lot scarier than 2.9 tons of granite. 33. Russell's research prevents a convincing argument that purple sea urchins are responsible for substantial bioerosion. Yep, it will be A for 33, because the rest aren't really what the last paragraph was about. Okay. 34, the superhero blockbuster Black Panther was watched by moviegoers in packed theaters around the world. 34 is going to be C. It says it more concisely. The others have way more words than it. I did that again. Okay. 35, critics lauded the film's predominantly black cast. Its director, Ryan Coogler, its Kendrick Lamar produced soundtrack, and its Afrofuturist aesthetic. Okay, so this is the list with semicolons. So cast as a semicolon. 36, nevertheless, couched with their praise, a few critics note that the villain is more compelling than the hero, which is rare for the superhero general. 36 is going to be D, because right after it just describes all the tropes. So, it's D. Killmonger are empowered by a tradition, on a tradition, for a tradition, or in a tradition. 37 is going to be A, by a tradition, because, he wasn't on, for, or in it. Superhero films, the best ones at least, ruminate on the nature of power and responsibility. 31, at least, is going to be in a positive. So the answer is B, 38, not 31, is D, because the dash is right there, not the comma. Okay. Yep. 38 is D. 39 had been a means to facilitate such contemplation. 39 is going to turn into C, because it is a means. It was, it was, but is present tense, so it is a means. 40 really show how those guys aren't the same in their attitudes towards their power. The answer for 40 is just going to be B, emphasize the profound differences. You just got to match the tone of the text. 41, to revise centuries of injustice. 41 is going to be C, rectify, because rectify means to make right. Revise is just to change. Tailor is like to get something tailored, and alter is just to change. Rectify is the one you want. The writer wants to add the following sentence to this paragraph. Still, it would be a mistake to dismiss Black Panther as formulaic. This would be right. You want this right after it tells you about the tropes that was in, which was in the last paragraph. So 42 will be A for sentence one as the transition. 33, with protagonists becoming perspectives. It is a philosophical debate rendered concrete. 43 is going to be D. 44, of course, Black Panther isn't a political thriller. That doesn't sound right. B doesn't sound right. C doesn't sound right. We're going to go with B because of the protagonists the concepts becoming characters. And that's the whole test.